Hi guys, I'm here. Sorry I'm late tonight. I generally tend to run a few minutes late anyway, but I actually have a good reason tonight, which is I'm staying in a hotel room and the clock was slow. So I looked at my watch and was like, oh my gosh, what time is it? So here I am. My apologies for being a few minutes late. And tonight's topic, say hi as you're getting on, give me some hearts as you join. Tonight's topic is one that's really, really personal to me. Has to do with my eating disorder that I'm recovering from. And I think as I'm going through the days, you're probably seeing why this topic is so, so important to me. Because confidence has really tied in to the struggles, so many of the struggles that I've dealt with in my life and the solutions for those struggles. So now you're starting to see why it's something that I want to share so much with you. So that hopefully you don't have to flounder as much as I did on your way to finding the solution, or at least hopefully the insights that I am providing are helpful to you in some way on your journey. So on day one, just to recap quickly, I talked about positive or assessing situations in terms of the risk versus the benefit, and keeping your mind on the best possible outcome, or at least if you do let your mind go to that worst case scenario, then take it to the conclusion of, okay, even if that did happen, it'd still be okay, right? Like whatever you can imagine that's like the worst thing that could happen, there's still a lot probably to be grateful for. Like it doesn't mean you can't be sad, doesn't mean you can't be upset, but life does go on. It can be very, there's grief and there's sorrow and all of that, depending on what has happened. But life goes on. And so taking it to the worst case scenario, if you're going to let your mind go there, make sure you follow it through to the conclusion of what you would still have even if you incur that penalty and that loss that you're thinking about. And then when you go to the positive place, make sure that you really feel into it and feel what it would feel like. And that's what gives you the courage to take the chance. You know that you'd be okay if you lose, and you embody how amazing it would feel if you get the outcome that you're hoping for. All right, yesterday, day 2, we talked about internal versus external validation, right? Going to Harvard and not feeling smart because I was looking outside, not inside, for my reminders of self-worth, basic worthiness. And the amazing thing about once you do find it inside you is that nobody can take it away. Nobody can. Okay guys, I'm back. Sorry, I hope it's going to work better this time. So in part 1, I just basically recapped and gave like a few additional thoughts on days 1 and 2. All right, so for day 3, I'm going to get into some kind of heavy stuff, but hopefully this helps to portray how foundational confidence is and how a lack of confidence can really affect so many things in life. So just to take you back to some brief history to set the scene a bit, I mentioned, and those of you who follow me know this, but if you're new here, you may not know this, that I'm in recovery from an eating disorder. I have binge eating disorder. Basically, there was some restricting going on as well, and it was a cycle of restricting and binging. And it was really destructive, as eating disorders are, and really just all-consuming, kind of the only thing that I thought about. Constant shame, constantly at war with myself because, when you starve yourself, you have biological urges to eat. It's how your body keeps you alive, which is amazing, but I would see it as a failure of my willpower. So it was like I was setting myself up to constantly fail. And it was a way of actually living out. I came to realize it was a way of living out this belief that that I am a failure, I'm not good enough, and all of those negative sorts of thoughts, right? I had all of that inside of my head, and so then in my daily life, I was acting it out. So at some level, I realized that this was just crazy, and it wasn't a way that I wanted to live anymore. So I said, I don't even care. Don't care if I gain weight. I'm done. I'm not going to restrict anymore. Because that was a thing, like constant fear of being fat, okay? Because I have some relatives that are overweight, and I was made fun of when I was a kid, and, you know, I really didn't have a weight problem after age 10 or so, but it really sticks with you. So that was kind of what was in my head, and plus these thoughts are not always rational, right? But I just said, I don't care. I don't care if I gain weight, I'll deal with it later. I'm going to stop restricting. So that was the first thing that changed. But the confidence part came in once I started practicing yoga. If you have studied yoga at all, you know that yoga, one of the big concepts in yoga is noticing your thoughts, noticing that internal monologue that's going through your head, right? Give me some hearts if you're recognizing this. So I started doing that at the urging of my yoga teacher. It had not really occurred to me before that thoughts were something that you could notice. And what I started to notice was this very negative, constant soundtrack of just the meanest possible things. I mean, like really, and I think this is pretty common, right? Like, have you ever either, you know, in a meeting at work or at a party, and you say something and immediately inside your head there's this voice that's like, well, that was stupid, like, why did you even bother speaking up? And like really, really harsh criticism inside my head. Or like seeing a picture of me, well, that outfit was ugly, why did you pick that? Like, it was constant, and it was just about everything. So it's kind of funny. Let me know if anyone else has had this experience, but it was like I went from not being able to hear these voices to they were like deafening once I started noticing them. It was like, whoa, like I want to stop this, but I don't know how, because it never quit. Like it was just constant. So it was kind of overwhelming, and I think that's the thing. Like, you don't notice it until you are ready to handle that. And even though it was really hard, at that time I became ready because I was ready to finally end this constant cycle that I was stuck in. So I started to notice these messages that I was saying to myself, and I came to realize I had been pretty harshly criticized from the outside as a kid in my family situation, and it's really kind of funny, like when you get away from that kind of situation, you're happy to be getting away from it, but sometimes you perpetuate it yourself because it's familiar. So that was what had happened for me. I had taken the voices from outside, and I was so used to them that I recreated them inside my head. And because of that, I was constantly plagued with self-doubt and self-loathing. And I mean, it was pretty awful looking back on it, but I guess the good thing about it is I didn't realize it most of the time. But it's no way to live, and I realized that I wanted it to be different. So it was through the study of yoga, partly, but I will say, especially if you are dealing with an eating disorder, in many cases you cannot do it all on your own, and nor should you try to or want to, because there is all sorts of help out there, qualified professionals. So I saw a therapist for many years. I have also gone to 12-step meetings for Overeaters Anonymous. So what I'm trying to say is take advantage of all the tools that are out there, because, you know, just the fact that I'm sharing with you kind of some work that I did on my own, that doesn't mean I think that you should just do that and that's the full solution in all situations. So I just wanted to mention that and make sure that you understand my perspective on that. But in terms of shutting down that internal monologue, I mean, my therapist was very helpful in helping me see kind of like sometimes things would come out of my mouth that would reflect those faulty assumptions, and I'm sure it does still happen sometimes. But she was able to help me see some of the ways that I was doing that and some of the ways that those kind of old scripts in my head were still affecting the way I saw things. And journaling, and I keep mentioning yoga, but that's, and meditation is basically, for this purpose, yoga and meditation accomplish the same thing because they get you to slow your mind down enough that you can notice your thoughts. And take it slow. That's my other advice. That's my other advice for doing this work. One step at a time. You know, it's not easy. I know this is heavy, and actually, I mean, although I would love for you guys to be having discussions in this group, I am getting some private messages from some of you, and I'm not gonna keep those private, and I love that. I really love that, but and I don't want to force you to have a discussion in this group. So what I'm trying to say is, if you feel comfortable sharing, please do. But for those of you who've been messaging me, just know that, you know, because I'm encouraging you to share here, it doesn't mean I don't value the private messages that I'm getting. I'm just glad that you guys are engaging with this content. But like I said, take it one step at a time, and really just give yourself time to go at your own speed, because you know, the things that you're uncovering are very personal, and can be difficult to deal with. And, you know, ask for help, confide in someone you trust. So just make sure that you are giving yourself the space to do that as you do this work. You can always talk to me, but I know that some of you are pretty much strangers and we might not be at that level yet. So, so that's okay, but make sure that you're confiding in someone that you trust. All right, so how does that monologue tie back to issues with food? So I had realized that eating and restricting were both coping mechanisms. They were coping mechanisms to help me deal with that shame from the harsh criticism that I had experienced from outside. And then again, there's that inertia. The harsh criticism from outside was replaced with the harsh criticism from inside so that there wouldn't be too much change at once. But so then it was the status quo, right? So if I wanted to break the cycle with food, I had to also break the cycle with that negative internal monologue. And again, it was accomplished over a period of years with a lot of tough work. So don't expect this is something, you know, this is a 5-day challenge. You're not going to solve this problem within 5 days, or, you know, definitely not within 1 day, right? Because this is our topic for 1 day. So with that being said, I want to take a look at your journal prompts, but this is just meant to be an introduction to concepts that you can continue to work with for a long period of time. So let me go grab my laptop. We'll just take a look at those real quick. All right, so day 3, and it says today, but tomorrow, you know, since today's almost over. Pay attention to your inner monologue and write down what you observe at the end of the day. I want you to cross out the negative statements and rewrite them with positive affirmations of how worthy, amazing, and awesome you are. So this is how we start to reprogram, right? And realize that you don't screw up all the time. You do a lot that's really, really amazing, and you're human, and if you do make mistakes, that's okay. We live, we learn. You're still worthy of taking up space on this earth. You're still acceptable. You're still valuable. That's what it is. And I really, really mean that. It's true of every single one of us. So I want you to find the courage inside you to believe in that and to say those things to yourself about yourself. All right, so just a reminder before I wrap up that there is a participation prize, and I decided I am counting. When you're sending me private messages, I will count that, because I know that, again, this is very personal topic. So whether you comment on the video or you send me a message just kind of letting me know that you're engaging with the content, I'm going to count that, and the more that you participate, the more entries you receive, and I'm going to draw one person at the end of the week, and you'll get a $160 package to work with me for the whole year. And again, if you're already a customer of mine who is enrolled to work with me for the current year, then you can gift it to a friend. So hopefully that's an incentive just to get through the videos this week and next week before they go away. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.